This is the Poddy with Serene
and Pearl.
Get it right, Poddy.
Hey, it's the Trim Healthy Podcast with Serene, Pearl, and Danny, and we are bringing greater health to every home, if I have anything to say about it. Hey, this is a place for people who love food. That's my revy for the week, is that unlike diets, this is where you love food.
Mm-hmm. Agreed, Dan. Hey,
Cheers.
Can I adjust your hair?
Why?
It's covering your teeth.
Can we talk about
shirt.
freaking Halloween?
No, we're not
Serene?
talking about it because it's just who I am. I woke up with a new identity.
Who are you, mate?
I've always been bad cop.
Yeah.
That's gross. Now that's gross.
No burping on our podcast.
I didn't mean it.
Now, when I would drive in the car when we first came to America, my dad, our dad, I should say, he had a dream, an American dream of big cars and big houses and big food. And so we were driving in the back of his big car, his Cadillac, his American car, and he would have these big dim sums, like what do you call them? The big
gas station
fried meat, weird
pastry things with
stuff.
meat in them. What would you call that? We call them dim sums, but that's like the Chinese version.
Hot Pocket?
Kind of like a samosa,
Well, he'd get
but
it from a gas station. He would have these
version.
big American, now American sized, which was bigger than he'd get back in Australia. And I would be like bad copping in the back seat, like, Dad, you're going to die. But and I would really get emotional. So I've always been bad cop. I'm just bringing it out in my adult life.
It's time to...
So you have
embracing it.
You have a bad cop meat section for us today coming up.
Yeah. I've tried to get rid of my bad cop self for years. Like, Pearl's like, tone it down, Serene.
I'm the one that
Tone
tried
it
to
down.
get rid of her. No.
Nobody wants to hear it.
But now you're
extreme.
leaning in.
I'm leaning in.
That's because we all came where I gave you license to be bad cop again because, we heard from people that are triggered. When you say a food is bad, I feel triggered. In the end, we decided, triggered or not, Serene should be able to be herself as the founder of THN.
People use that word, triggered?
Ugh, sorry.
Yeah.
Are their
a
estrogens
food
low?
shouldn't be good. A food shouldn't be bad. We went with that for a while.
Yeah, shut up though. Oh, so sorry. I didn't mean to
She's
say
bad
that.
cop.
I said stop bringing it. I'm bringing that later. Banter, please.
Well, actually, I do want to say before we get to the meat, I've got a shirt called Good Cop. We bought these shirts, right? And this whole
It's right there.
detective police garb because
Well, you can put your good cop on if you
I'm not
want.
a good cop today because we're going to do this reel for social media that I woke up in the night about, but haven't done it yet. So she just said, "Hey, Pearl, that T-shirt you bought for me, I'm wearing it today on the potty."
You woke up in the night with a content idea?
Yeah. Do you ever do that?
He does. She does that a lot.
What do I wake up in the night with
Hey,
violent anxiety.
I need you to.
Oh,
Yeah.
sad for you, Dan.
All right, ready?
I'm
so I'm
ready.
going to bring the meat.
No, don't say that. It just says, "Oh my God, time for the meat."
The meat! When we really get down to business. But don't hate us for the rabbit trails.
So I have a new trigger phrase for you.
A trigger phrase, meaning I'm going to get triggered when I hear it.
Oh, yes, and I'm so excited about it. Because Pearl beat me up for years because I would always say, oh, don't eat bad food. Or, I would talk about how, my bread that I make was good and that there's bad food out there and bad bread and blah, 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 blah. And Pearl's like, Serene, do you not know, because you're not on social media, but that's not polite anymore. You don't call something bad. It triggers people. So we're not doing that anymore. Okay, so when we talk, when you in our recipe books and on the potty, and when
Yeah,
we
very
do
pathetic.
when we do interviews, Serene, do not call food bad. Like, she had this big sister talk with me, and I'm like, but Pearl, it is bad. It's just bad. Like, you can't call bad things good. But she's like, but we're just not gonna trigger people, okay? So, are you ready to hear my new term?
I'm letting you be you.
I'm really, really excited about it because, ready? I'm not going to call bad food bad anymore.
What are you going to call it?
Deceptive food.
All right.
Deceptive food.
I don't feel a trigger.
Do you like the ring?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bing.
Yeah, and I just think it's calling a spade to spade,
It's
calling
deceptive.
foods that are bad deceptive because just saying bad food, you're not giving a reason why it's bad. It's kind of lame-o.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's lame-o. You know, it's like, it's.
But you're not going against yourself. You still think they're bad.
No, I still think they're bad. I'm just going a step further.
Got it.
Because it's rebellion. It's Pearl saying,
it's authoritarian parenting. You're just, we don't tell you why it's bad.
Just do what I
cannot
do,
do it.
do what I say,
and
not
now
what
I'm
I
like,
do, that
I'm just
sort
going
of
to go a step further. I'm going to describe the bad for you.
stuff. Okay.
Yeah, because I believe in calling a spade a spade. Like if something is bad, let's call it bad, but let's give an extra description. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. Because, you know, this whole world these days, you have to do words gymnastics these days. You have to call a woman insemination receptacle or something. But you do these days. It's so weird, right? We have weird terms for things.
Is that a real thing to call a woman?
But that's another party. That's the party I have in my
It's
head.
like the most offensive thing you could say to call a woman.
I know I'm not even allowed to be a woman anymore. I'm like a cis woman. Is that what you call a natural woman?
Cis.
Oh, I don't even want to get into it.
No.
Receptacle.
But anyway, but you see, the words gymnastics so that you don't trigger people these days is messed up. So I am embracing trigger words. I'm embracing spade to spade words. I'm just going to get a little more descriptive. So you're not offended?
No.
Well,
I've never been offended by bad. I was just saying that some are. I'm over it.
Trigger
I was
me,
hoping that
Elmo.
you'd be offended so I could trap you. I really wanted you to be offended.
She's
like,
Trigger
Serene,
Me
you can't-
Elmo in her red outfit.
She's like, you know, I was wanting you to be like, Serene, you can't call them deceptive foods. Like, that's just so,
Hey, Serene.
first of all,
you
weird.
can't call them deceptive foods. That's so.
Okay, good. Okay. Well,
triggering.
do you want to know where I got the idea?
Yeah, where?
The
God.
Lord woke you up.
God.
Yeah.
God said it. Actually,
Yeah.
actually, he divinely inspired the wisest man in the world, Solomon,
Oh.
to say that there are foods that are deceptive.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I've never heard this doctrine.
Yes.
I
So I
like
was
it.
going to give it to you and say, oh, so you think I'm not wise? So you think that I'm not being politically correct and I'm not being couth because I want to call it deceptive foods? Well, it was good enough for God.
Yeah,
It was
chapter
good enough for Solomon.
chapter and verse, please.
Okay, Proverbs 23, chapter 23, verse 3. And it says, talking about the king's delicacies, do not desire his delicacies, his rich foods, for they are, drum roll, deceptive food. Like, as if bad food was going to trigger, that is so much more, like, to me, it has more of a
Power?
powerful terminology.
It gets specific.
It's more ugly. Bad is just, it could
So
be.
from now on,
Generic.
you're just going to be
Oh, it's deceptive
your
food.
bad cop self and you're going to say, take it up with God.
Take it up with God. Another translation says, do not crave his delicacies, for that food is deceptive. Instead of just calling it deceptive food, now it's like that food is. It is deceptive. So I feel pretty darn secure in my new term to adopt.
Okay.
But I want to look at this term. You know, what foods were these king's delicacies? Dainties is another, some translations say his dainties.
Turkish delight.
Are there foods around us today on our grocery shelves, in our homes, or on our plate that could be similar to, could be the modern day king's dainties?
Godiva chocolate.
We're going to find out, right? Because we will start calling them deceptive foods from today onwards.
Macaroni and cheese.
So I did a quick concordance check. Dan, you have a concordance?
Mhm.
Your mouth is full. And it tells me that these dainties were delicate foods that were associated with the king's table. Things preserved for pleasure only and luxury. Now, there is a reason why I call my fermented rye stick to your ribs bread peasant bread.
Right.
Right? Because it wasn't a dainty. It wouldn't have been on the king's table.
But it's still delicious.
No, it's delicious. Healthy food is delicious. But the dainties, they were just all about pleasure and all of that. So here's a literal translation version of this verse. The Young's literal, remember how Mum would always look up the Young's. The Young's literal translation says, have no desire to his dainties, seeing it is lying food. So, hey, all those people triggered when I called bad food bad, I've gone from deceptive and now it's lying food.
I like lying food best of
Yeah.
all.
The Smith's literal translation, thou shalt not long for his dainties. Thou shalt not long for his dainties, and it is the bread of lies.
Wow.
The bread of lies.
Yeah, take it up with God. Don't get mad at me. Last translation, which, socks at home because it's written in the verb tense, and it says, do not desire his delicacies. It is the food that deceives.
You were thorough on this.
Yeah.
I get it. It lies.
Okay, so secondly, we're going to figure out. So now we've found out what the delicacies are, the dainties. Now we're going to talk about what could be some of our modern versions of this food that deceives. And I just went a writing last night, a tapping away. And so I might read a little bit, I might not. But
Hey, you know how you're preaching right now and you're bad copying, and you know how fire and brimstone preachers, they tell you what not to do and all that.
Yeah.
But I get more from, and I love where you're going. I get more from the preachers who tell me what to do as well.
Well,
you're going to bring in some of
that's
that.
good cop stuff. Bad cops just tell you where you're gone bad.
So it's just fire and brimstone today.
It's just fire and brimstone.
Okay, I'll bring another one.
Good cops like, oh dear, you let me put you on the right path.
I
The
should have won
path
my
of
good.
green pastures.
I should have.
I don't want you to feel condemnation. Let
See,
me
that's
show
my
you where the
role.
path of grace lies.
Well, our whole trim healthy mama thing is here. Eat this instead. It's brilliant.
Good for you. I don't feel that in my bones. I just want to tell them they're eating a bunch of lies.
Okay, good.
I thought about being a preacher in Franklin.
You thought about that?
Yeah, man, these guys are loaded.
And you don't even know to come over to the grace food, to the food that brings life,
Notice
until
how she
you
just left that
know
alone.
that your food might be lying to
Oh,
you.
okay, good.
People don't know.
I'm going to shut good cop down.
Yeah, shut it down.
All right.
Okay, so let me see where I am. Oh, yeah. Yep.
Wow, that's deep.
Okay, but people say, well, back
Danny, concentrate.
yeah,
Put the book
concentrate.
down.
Back
You need-
then, that was written back then, and we don't have king's tables, we don't have dainties, blah 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 blah. But the Bible is timeless. Scripture always relates, right? And I actually believe there are more foods today that could be described as these king's dainties than there was back then,
Absolutely.
right? But to fully answer the question, what could be the dainties of today, we need to go and find out what the definition of food is.
All right.
We do. And the dictionary reads, Mr. Valdez.
Yes, ma'am.
Concentrate. Food is any nutritious substance that people or animals eat or drink or that plants absorb in order to, get this,
Energy.
maintain life
Oh,
and growth. No, it's not just about energy,
Hmm.
Danny.
it's about life.
Get it right.
Okay.
It's about life and growth. The Cambridge Dictionary, and this is important, so pay attention, or I'll get my cane out, says food is something that people and animals eat or plants absorb to keep them alive.
Ah.
The word food comes from the Germanic verb thogen, which also means to feed, and it is related to the Latin word panis, which means bread, like bread of life, and the Latin word pastor, which means shepherd. So food pertains to life, to flourishing vigor, to growth, and it guides like a shepherd the body in the way of vitality.
Beautiful.
So that's where the word pastor comes from. It like guides it to those graceful.
So you're not
pastures.
saying pasta, P-A-S-T-A. You're pastoring. something.
Pastor. There is a Latin word that relates to food from the word shepherd. You're shepherding life when you eat food. You're guiding your body in the right direction.
That's good cop stuff. I like
Oh,
that.
it's just powerful. So food cannot be something that demolishes health. Now we
Yeah.
know what the real definition of food is. Something that demolishes health, that poisons, even though it may be ever so slowly, the body, because it's not like taking strychnine, bah, you're
Yeah.
dead, in 1 second. It's a slow thing. Or things that you take in your body that seeds toxins and begins destructive chain reactions on a cellular or even subcellular level. Food cannot be something that interferes or makes our bodies not know how to like hear the signals in our bodies, right? With the hunger and the fullness, and because we eat foods these days that interfere with that, and now we don't even know how to hear the shepherding of our body, right? Could something that we accurately term food shepherding towards life murder?
No, it wouldn't be food. It would be, like you're saying, deception.
Yeah. So, well, why does most of our modern diet kill? Dan?
It's not food.
Our modern diet is the serial killer, committing murder after murder of our bodies, slow, torturous murder of the human body. Not a quick bullet to the head, but that slow hyenas over years chipping away at our strength and might of the human body, the miracle and the wonder of our gift of life that's been given to us, slowly zapping and leaching out our health until we die of diabetes, heart disease, dementia, all of those which, well, most of all those cases are related to diet. Even cancer, that's not always related to diet. It can be just because we breathed the wrong air as soon as we were born, just we're in a fallen world. But oftentimes even cancer can be because of this slow poison that we're putting in our body.
Toxic overload. It's like the tipping point.
Our food these days murders us. So we are inaccurate to call it food, and we are very accurate to call it bad. And we are very much, I believe, in the right to be able to be more descriptive of that and call it the food of lies and deceptive food, like Solomon calls it. So I reckon we need to get our bad cop handcuffs out and do some handcuffing, and just get like your bad food, you're out of here. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I really do. And I just want to just bring it around now to some more practical things. Like, what is this? Modern store-bought, non-sprouted or non-fermented bread cannot be called food.
So yours is talking about that Wonder bread, white bread. Not food.
No, I'm actually talking about all the bread in there that's from Monsanto wheat. I don't care if it's brown, has a bit of molasses to make it even look browner. I'm getting strict here. That's not food. Especially when it's pale and fluffy, is it not food? But all that other just Kroger brand, whole wheat, Monsanto junk, it's not food.
You can take a slice of white bread.
It's the bread of lies, not the bread of life. Yes.
Well, you can roll it up into like a marble.
Yeah, you can.
Isn't that wild?
Right.
It's like, what is it?
White, gluey, stripped and synthetically fortified pizza dough drowned in pasteurized greasy cheese and preservative-laden dyed pepperoni cannot be called food.
Ooh,
it doesn't shepherd the blood sugar
badding
into
herself
gentle
up.
pastures. I'm a good
Doesn't.
cop there. It doesn't do that. But it villainously spikes it into fat storage, danger zones, and crashes you into bad mood mojo. It's not food. It's not a good shepherd. Breakfast cereal made into shapes and stars and lifeless flakes that no longer resemble any kind of natural grain cannot be considered the first foods of a day for our offspring. And these confangled shapes, I don't care how many times the box says organic. You can get confangled shakes from, I'm not going to say, something foods market.
You already said Kroger. I mean, you were naming them
Whole
bad
Foods
cops.
market.
From Wild
I don't
Oats.
care if it says organic.
Is Wild Oats still out there?
It's a brand.
Yeah, but does it exist as a store?
I don't think so.
Coffee Mate with its paragraph of crap ingredients.
Say the C word.
Sodas with their addictive myriad of teaspoons of refined sugar or chemical sweetener diet crap, because that's even worse.
Nancy!
Cannot be labeled food. These things aren't tending to life, but to slow destruction. I'm just ready to preach it. There's bad food out there, and it shouldn't even have the F word along with it, because it's not food.
I want a cardboard
Hold on, F word.
on a stick.
Food. It shouldn't even be called food.
Oh, I was thinking you're putting the F word in front of bad.
No, I'm not
Effing
going that
but
bad.
Okay,
I'm a
because that would be
Christian
really
cop.
bad cop.
No, I'm a Christian bad cop.
Oh, you're a
I don't
Christian
swear.
bad cop.
I want Nancy's.
I don't even say fart.
Oh, you
That's
did
as bad
say
as
it.
the F word. I say fluff.
But you said it now.
What? Just say that I don't
No,
say it.
you can't cuss just because it's in
You're
the
a
song.
bad cop. You do say fart.
Okay. Today I say fart.
When I do,
That's as bad as
when
I
I
get.
do Coolio's Gangster's Paradise on karaoke, I omit the bad language,
Thank you, Dan.
and I think that's the right thing to do. And you know what? I want to get a cardboard cutout of Nancy's head, and it comes up from behind the plant when you say the C word.
Yeah, Nancy is Serene's mom for new peoples in the room.
You might
Did
say.
you guys write that down?
You
Cardboard cutout.
might say, Danny.
Yes, I'm here.
You might say, as long as it is slow murder, and the food is yum, so I'm still going to live to somewhat of an age. I'm still going to live over 10. Then I'll take that road. Doesn't sound that bad. Sounds like a fun ride. Well, natural aging on healthy food is actually the pace we want to go because there's still a pace to it. We still all die one day. None of us are immortal. But in that natural pace, we get to keep energy. We get to keep mental capacity and vigor. We get to keep libido there longer as we journey to the end. But you take a trip to the hospital these days and you see what the end looks like for people that have been on this slow, murderous bread of lies. It is super, super, super sad. Like,
So on that note, I took my son. he had to get a CT scan of his wrist for football to get medically cleared to go play on the field again. And he was just noting that, like, you almost think because he's going in for athletic surgery, you almost get in your head that, like, that's what you're going to see there.
yeah.
It's like repairs of like young, healthy people. Almost 0% of that. And instead, it is people way too young who are bent over.
They're being
Crutches.
they're being murdered. Like
They're getting.
like she's saying.
It's in the
Slow
hospitals.
murder.
No, when you go to hospitals, like it's one thing to like theoretically just like listen to this podcast and like try to imagine that, but like when you go to a hospital, I have so many friends that are like, oh, what, I eat my I eat the way I want to eat and maybe die 5 years younger. Like I want to enjoy my life too and enjoy food. It's like, yeah, but that maybe if that were it, maybe I wouldn't even be as zealous for this. But no, it looks like erectile dysfunction.
Yes, it does.
It looks
yes,
like-
it does. And it,
You know what I
at
mean?
a young age for men.
Yeah, and I could go down a list of all these maladies that come upon people.
Yeah.
That, you're like, I know people, and they'll say, this isn't me deciding this. They'll say, man, I really ate like trash. I got this bag installed for my digestive system where I have to change it out. And they're 40 years old. And that's
Yeah.
going to be the next 40 plus years of their life. So, like, I don't know. Not to try to be morbid, but to be truthful. It's beyond just, oh, well, I just die 5 years younger. It's like, no, that's not what it looks like.
The trip towards that end is not just, oh, I'm going to have a great life and then die
It's
5
a
years
potential
younger.
40 years.
Of feeling
Yeah.
like crap miserable.
Right.
Yeah.
Feeling that way or actually being like so medically disabled. I mean, to where like, I don't want to make decisions on like what van I'm going to pick out that has a ramp. And I'm not like, dude, there's people there who like,
Of course.
even because of food, they got to that place. And there is like, if you're there, like a whole new message for you. I'm not even talking about that. I'm saying for those of you who aren't there, it's kind of like, well, we don't want to talk about divorce because there's divorced people out there. It's like, no, we do. And if they're healthy, if they got healthy, they should welcome us talking about like avoiding divorce and how to. So in the
Yeah.
same way, like if you're listening and you're like, well, I'm trying to get healthy, you should welcome us saying, hey, there are ways to get into there are small percentages of like you're doing all the right things, eating all the right things, believing all the right things, and still like suffering has come upon you in your body. Totally separate. But 99% of people are bent on eating what mama taught them to eat or what grandma made and just not shaking that. And every now and again, I do get this like when I'm listening to you, I'm getting like, man, we have to tell the truth.
Well, you just go to the grocery store. Oh, you're like, well, not everyone eats like that. Most people eat salad every day and salmon. No, they don't. Look at their carts. There's no food in their cart. There's no
food.
food in their carts. And their carts are piled high. There's nothing there, and there's like 6 packs of soda, like over top, like
Hanging off of the-
camelbacking.
yeah,
Yes,
hanging off
it's
the
just
rail.
like, it makes me want to cry. It's time to be bad cop.
Yeah.
It's time to wake people up and say, it's not food. It's not. It's not designed for the human body. It's
No, this
not
is love.
what God
This
purposed.
is what love looks like.
So I want to just say, take a look at ingredients lists, right? On the most box foods in the supermarket. You can't even pronounce it. It's like foreign language stuff. And just because something is cheap doesn't mean you really have the budget for it. Because it's not just, like it's stealing from you with money in the end, because hospital bills, they cost things.
And if it's not
But
even costing you,
no.
it's costing the nation.
Yes.
That's really bad cop stuff, but it's true.
Well,
Yes.
even, I mean, I used to buy tools, and when I bought the cheap tool, it was the most expensive tool on the shelf.
Right.
It lasted less than a year. I had to buy a second tool. So the $50 drill,
Sorry.
which is disposable, is more expensive when you do 6
Yeah.
years of $50 drills
Yeah.
once a year
Oh, yeah.
versus buying a $200 drill that you give to your kids.
My Vitamix I've had for years, but I got a cheaper version that you'd buy at your local Walmart, like your
Yeah.
$25
Yeah, it
one.
died, right?
Oh, every month. It was in my budget to get a new one.
Yeah, right. It's
Could have brought so
disposables.
many Vitamixes.
Yeah.
It
Hey.
costs joy,
Yeah.
and it costs your time here on Earth, and it costs the impact that you could have had on Earth while you were here, because most people just feel too. It affects your emotions, you see, too, and it affects your chemicals in your brain. Depression.
Hey, you
and
know
all
what?
kinds
You know
of
it's a
stuff.
real truth. Divorces have happened because of poor eating choices.
Oh yeah.
I can,
believe so.
and I say to me, I'm saying that from my personal experience.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've had like rough years with my wife. It was hypoglycemia. Like
Yeah.
I got my blood sugar
Yeah.
under control and became a little bit more stoic, a little more patient, a little more gentle. We didn't have to
Yeah.
fight about stuff. I didn't have to blow
Right,
up.
Right.
I could just calmly, reasonably be
Yeah.
able to actually listen to a woman
Yeah.
because I wasn't spiking and crashing. I had a neighbor just tell me the same thing. My husband, he went through years of spiking and crashing, and we almost got a
Oh,
divorce.
no, these things are true.
Isn't that wild?
And mothering and fathering and
Oh.
not just spousing. Keep going.
Snapping on
keep
your
going, bad
kids.
cop.
How many
it's-
times do you want to snap on your daughter
I know.
because of food, because you're hangry?
Oh no.
I'm being judgmental. Bad cop.
No, yeah, I'm all about it. I was giggling before to myself. You saw me laughing.
Yeah.
You're, why is she laughing? Because I don't usually allow myself to say crap.
Yeah, but you said it 4 or 5 times.
But I said it and it didn't even make sense because I'm so not used to saying it. I said, it makes you crap miserable.
Oh, you're cussing
Didn't
wrong?
even-
These son of a
wasn't even the
crapping
right tense.
donuts. Get them out of America.
I was like so released to use it that I didn't even use it the right way.
Let's cuss wrong, America.
But anyway, this food deceives because it's the definition has us think that these things are edible, that they were designed and purposed for our body, and they never were. That was not the intent of God.
Right.
To put that stuff in your body.
It's because they're in the food section of Walmart
Yes.
or in the food section of
It's tricky.
Kroger. They're not in the stationery or paper plate section.
Right.
So
good.
It deceives because it is deceptively in the place of the real thing. It is a deceptive form of what should be there. It promises life and health, but is a bold-faced liar because it can't even do a good job of getting us from one meal to the other, right?
So true.
Without indigestion,
Yeah.
insulin resistant, causing blood
extreme
sugar
hunger.
spikes,
Extreme
bad
hunger.
mood crashes, headaches. And you can go on with this list. Between meals, it can't even get you gently leading you,
It's a big deal.
shepherding you even from one meal to the other. So that this food deceives, that it's bread of lies, that it's food of lies, is its rightful name and is actually its more clear description of being bad food. So we're calling the cops on it. We are. We're calling the cops on it. And I do want to digress a little bit because I can hear Pearl's devil's advocate in her voice saying, well, what about, a treat?
yeah.
What about a treat?
I've thought of that.
Because I'm like, call the cops, get it out of your house. This is deception. We want it out.
I have another good cop thing to say about getting it out of your house too, because you can't just do that if your husband.
Right,
or-
no, I agree with that.
Okay.
I agree with that. Just call the cops on it in your brain. So
Okay.
you no longer call that food food. That food is food of
Yeah.
lies.
Okay.
Okay, that's where it sits. It's bad food. It's worse than bad food. It's lying food, right? Okay, so, but Pearl will be like, yeah, but what about vitamin P? Having a treat for time to time. Bad cop says don't call it treat. That's lying. It doesn't treat your body. Bad cop says you're allowed to call it a cheat. And you can have a cheat.
Don't call it a cheat.
You can have a cheat. And I tell you why you can have a cheat. Because sometimes you might want to have what you think the vitamin P, the vitamin pleasure is important for you, right? That Aunt Marge's pecan pie gives you vitamin. You're going to have a slice. But why would you call it a fake name?
I'm going to tell you why. Because I would call things like if I go and have red dye, total huge amounts
That's
of
a
sugar,
cheat.
that's a cheat. But
Yes.
if I'm having a traditional thing like when I'm in Italy and I'm having tiramisu,
that's fine.
That's just a
That's a
foundational
treat. I'm not
traditional
talking
meal.
about that. I'm talking about crap in Walmart.
If I'm having Doritos that are brightly colored
Yes.
with fake dyes and stuff, I'll call it a cheat.
Thank you.
If I'm having Aunt Marge's pecan pie,
Oh
I'll
no!
call
If
it a
she's
treat.
gone to Walmart and brought that,
Is Walmart in trouble here? Because she could get it, and she could get it at Whole
if
Foods.
she went to Whole Foods,
Okay, if it's made with corn syrup, a treat.
no,
a
if she
cheat.
went and got that fake little white,
No, she made it herself.
she made it herself. But
Yeah.
let's
With
think-
refined white sugar?
Yeah.
No,
it's
mm,
still
well-
a traditional meal that's not on
No,
plan.
it depends if that wheat was from Italy. That's different.
Okay, you can bad cop yourself all you want, but I'll
because
won't
they
call
don't
it
have as
cheat.
much
When I'm
Monsanto
going from-
glyphosate issues.
When I'm going for my anniversary and I'm having a dessert at a restaurant, I'm not saying it's cheating.
Sure, that's fine. But I'm saying there is a line when you need to call it a cheat, and that's okay if you want to cheat.
Sure,
That's okay.
there's
That's
insane
okay.
food. Yeah.
There is insane food, and that's what I'm drawing the hammer down on today. There is food out there that shouldn't be called, okay, oh, do you want a little treat, Susu? The grandma's giving her child not a treat,
Gummy
not
bears.
making a little homemade cookie from her oven, but giving them like red dye blue 40 Skittles.
Yeah.
That is not this trick or treat stuff. It's all trick.
All trick.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, the scientific side of me wants to be definitionally honest
Yeah.
with what a thing is.
Okay, yeah. So
I'm fine with the
Yeah.
homemade cookies the grandma makes. Okay, I'm fine. Even if it's got sugar, okay? If it's a treat, it's not every day, so it's not an
Yeah.
overload. And at least it doesn't have ingredients you cannot pronounce. But a loaf of bread has ingredients you can't pronounce. Just simple coffee creamer has ingredients you cannot pronounce. Pizza, you look at that like gonna take home and take out of the freezer and stick in your own oven thing. You should see some of those ingredients on the pepperoni and junk. There is food now that's not food, and that's what I'm calling the cop on.
yeah, no, I agree with you on that. I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh, the other thing I wanted
blast it in and blast it out.
Okay.
Done.
End of show.
Oh, all right. No, I love it, and I'm tracking with you. I do want to go back to, get these things out of your house.
I didn't.
Yeah,
I
know.
said get it like in your mind. Get clear.
But Good
what
Cop
food
wants
is.
to get practical here.
Yeah. Practical
let
is
me-
in your mind, because once you've got in your mind, okay, this isn't really food.
Yeah.
You won't be embracing it like you have been.
Yeah, and I think, like even saying to our husbands, "Hey, what you're eating is deceptive
not gonna
food."
say
no,
that.
No, you're not. But I'm just saying this now distinctly for me.
Okay.
Where I'm taking this, I agree. Some foods are not foods, and let's call them what they are. I think all society now needs to start doing this. We need to start bad copping the foods that need to be bad copped. I mean, it's almost been like
It's Maha. Make America healthy again. We have to start getting normal and not be
Maha.
insane anymore.
yeah. But it's almost like that story, the Emperor's New Clothes,
Yeah.
where he's walking around naked, that like deceptive tailor said, "I'm going to make you beautiful clothes," and he's got no clothes on. Everyone's going, "Yeah, you look amazing." Like everyone's walking around saying, "No, I don't have to call that bad. That's just, that's just the way I'm allowed to eat what I want." It's all Emperor's New Clothes stuff.
Yeah.
And I think you're that little boy in the room saying, "Hey,
But
he's got no clothes on."
But what I'm not saying is I'm not going home, and if my husband brings something home from the gas station here in America, walks in with a can of something or other, I'm not going to say, Deceptive food, you're not coming in. Quick, quick, quick. Like, get the hazmat suits on and, clear them out. No, because I actually have told you lately that I'm going to wrap up a bag of bad corn chips for my husband and give them to him as a gift because I've been so controlling over corn chips.
Right.
And I want to give that back to his page, and it's on him. I'm saying everybody personally have an altar call in your head, not other people's heads. You don't force this on other people, but you have an altar call on yourself. Maybe children under 13 in your house, that's different. But have a think about what really food is, because Solomon, the wisest man in the world, said there are deceptive foods.
So good. Hey, nothing really. I don't want to good cop it too much.
And now, our Superfood Spotlight.
I got a tongue twister for you.
What?
Say beans benefits 10 times. Beans benefits, beans benefits, beans benefits.
Beans do have benefits, though, Serene.
Yeah.
Aside from making little musical sounds with your body, there is so much more than that.
But let's not say a bunch of protein, because they've got so many more benefits.
They do have protein. It's just not super bioavailable like animal protein is, but it contributes.
But they have so many more. Why do we even have to tack that on? They've got such a long list.
I know.
Oh, they're so full of fiber, right? That helps the gut and the microbiome because it's that resistance starch.
It feeds the good bugs, and it makes something called butyrate, right? Butyrate can be a little gassy, but it's like the thing. Yeah, but it literally fights colon cancer. It slims you. It trims you. And it is longevity. That's what it promotes in the body. And they've done so many studies. They're in our Trim Healthy Wisdom book on the blue zones. Most blue zones eat a lot of beans,
and they're excellent for the cardiovascular system. They're excellent for the heart, and so they help lower cholesterol.
And people think, well, they're a carb, right? I mean, they have some good carbohydrates, but they're usually easy on blood sugar. And there's a study that we cite in the book for women with PCOS. So many women are tricked into going low carb when they have PCOS. But they started to give these women black beans who had PCOS, and their recovery was so much swifter than people that didn't eat black beans. So they didn't have to go like keto.
Yeah. And black beans, you think, oh, beans, how superfoody are they? I mean, I'm sure they're healthy. No, they're super foody. And they're so high in antioxidants, and especially the black bean. It's, it's called the black bean, but when you soak it in water, you see it's actually a deep purple, and that's the anthocyanin, which is an incredibly anti-inflammatory and anti-cancer and incredible, it's a longevity antioxidant. It's just so wonderful for the body.
So let's get practical, right? How do you eat beans, Serene?
Well, we do chili once a week.
Yeah.
And I love that. And we do it with black beans, and we do it from scratch.
I like pintos in my chili.
Yeah.
So the way I've been having beans lately is I've got 2 bean spreads, and they're actually in our wisdom recipe collection, free on our website. But there's this, I call it my white bean cheesy spread. Actually, that one's coming out in our book. But basically all it is a can of white beans, mostly drained, little lemon juice, 2 teaspoons of oil, nutritional yeast. I think
is it
that
like
might be
a non-sesame kind of hummus?
Yes, and you whiz it up. There's a half a lemon in there. Salt. Yeah, about 3/4 teaspoon of salt. You whiz it up, and it is so great on any wrap or any sandwich. It's like a non-garlicky taking hummus. It's very like a sharp cheese spread.
Oh, yum. Because the lemon and nutritional yeast would kind of like lend their cheesy flavors to that creaminess. Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. And it's so great if you want to do with taco, with avocado, with anything. It's so good. I'm loving that lately. We've also got a black bean spread in the book.
Well, we just came back from Mazatlan, and also I went to El Salvador not long before that, and I noticed that over in those countries they do their bean dips so much thicker and heartier. It's so delicious. Like, I think that their refried beans, they drain them or something more. I'm not sure, but I've decided I'm going to be making the true traditional thicker refried beans because it'd be so yummy as like a spread, like you're saying, or for a dip. Hey, and if you still have a bunch of hungry children and teenagers at home, what I used to do was just cook a large pot of beans and drain them and stick them in the fridge. And then when any of my children were like, I'm starved, I would just say, fry up beans. And they would just take a big iron skillet, put some butter in the bottom, and like toss the beans around with another favorite protein. Sometimes they'd add rice, and then they'd get the chipotle out and all different salsas and spices, and they'd be so creative, but it was so healthy because, teenagers and, even just the tweens these days, they're having issues with blood sugar because diet is just so insane these days, and children do not have enough fiber.
No, and what I love about beans is they're cheap. I mean, you usually cook them from scratch because you're a purist. I buy cans of beans, and cans of beans are wondrous for me. I mean, they're just so easy, and it's just, I try to find them, without the BPA and the cans and all that. But yeah, beans are a superfood.
The magical fruit. The more you eat, the more you do. Actually, my sorry. Actually, my husband, he was raised on mainly beans.
Yeah, does he?
Yes,
teach a lot?
and he'd be coming home from school saying, "Mum, I'm so hungry." She said, "We have so many things to eat, lots of them, all of them beans."
Yeah, but honestly though, I feel like the more beans you eat, the less you'll toot if you start slowly. I mean, Danny, you are of the Mexican blood. How do you handle beans with the digestion?
I take to beans pretty well. Don't notice any excessive flatulence.
Not excessive, but you might have some because you're a human and humans toot.
But because I'm not Serene and Pearl, I don't pay attention.
Oh yeah, you don't count
what
the
happens
ones throughout the day.
No, I don't count them or store them like you do. Hey, it's time for the banter, the part you hate but we love.
I try not to store them. I prefer like catch and release.
Do you know what I did when I was little is we had an experiment to see if we could trap one in a cup and freeze it.
Oh.
And what would happen.
Wow.
I can tell you.
Did you eat beans beforehand?
No, we just had our typical Hot Pockets, which outperform beans in a flatulence contest according to 3 studies.
That was bad bug flatulence, whereas beans are good bug flatulence.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Is the smell associated with healthy eating or unhealthy eating?
It could be a little both.
It does, so
if
it's
you
no
eat garlic
association.
and things like that, you can get a
really
sulfur
like
smell.
the smell of mine.
What?
So
Hold on.
well, here's how we could figure it
Did you
out.
trap it? I mean, this is a really bad rabbit trail.
We were able to successfully trap the specimen. In fact, after about 10 minutes of freezer time, we released the smell on my cousin who was held down. This is wrong. I think this is abusive, but we held him down. We held his mouth closed until he had to inhale air. And right when he took that deep breath, we thrust the cup up to his nose, and his eyes watered.
The specimen, and this is probably the last Superfood Spotlight people will listen to.
Well, this is the thing. I think if everybody would be honest, I think we need lying detectors if you ask people this question. But I think every human is, if not enjoys their own, is intrigued. And their newborn baby, but their own and a newborn baby, but none other. No other human. It's not intriguing. It's not enjoyable.
It's vulnerability time. Serene, you're a healthy eater.
Yes.
Smell or no smell?
Oh, I would say no smell most of the time.
Let me
and
get Sam
then
on the phone.
the brachisis.
No, she doesn't fluff in front of Sam.
Yes, he does not know.
But he knows
does
of.
not even know I have. Yeah, no, we don't have poopy or anything.
So you're a healthy eater, no smell most of the time, Pearl.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you what makes
the
my
brassicas.
Fluff stain. What does brassicas mean?
The brassicas. The
Flourishes.
No, the broccoli cauliflower family.
Oh, the crucies.
The crucies.
Cruciferouses.
I feel like you're about to dance around the question.
No, I'm going to say it right outright.
Okay.
I will have no smell except for if I start doing garlic. Garlic makes me... The stench of them are very sulfurous.
Yeah.
The other thing is, If I have a lot of essential amino acids, it gets a peculiar.
Oh, you're really going to
sulfur
put
smell.
sales up for our
I
essential.
just go for it because essential has done so much for my body.
Okay.
I feel like amino acids are sulfurous anyway.
They don't make me fluff.
No, they don't make me fluff more, but when I do fluff, it's a little sulfurous, and I've just gotten used to that, people. Are we going to end with that right there?
Well, I need to share.
Okay.
So, historically, even when I was eating bad back in the day, I was known for my flatulence not smelling.
Okay.
Nice volume, good tone, no smell. And it so much so that they would say, there's Danny, he walks around like his stuff don't stink.
Oh, yeah.
But-
and then stuff didn't stink.
But it didn't.
Okay.
And then when I started eating healthy, same thing.
Okay.
So no stink.
Are
So
we
I'm
worried
wondering,
about your microbiome?
well, I don't know. I just wonder if
Oh, to this day, you don't stink, so you're saying.
to this day, and
Okay.
I wonder if it's genetics. But I will say, I was on a trip recently to Myrtle Beach, and we stopped at Buc-ee's, and I don't know why. When you walk past the meat in the middle, it looks so fresh. There's guys, they shout meat on the board,
Yeah,
and
they
you're just
do,
like, man,
yeah.
I'm in an old school.
Yeah.
They got meat. So I bought one of the sandwiches. I forget, it's like a roast sandwich, like cut pieces of roast. And I'm just like, man, this is man food. This is protein. I'm excited. Man, I took a bite. It was more like, it was like they ground up horse or something. I mean, it was squishy, I mean, Buc-ee's is so great in so many other ways.
My
But
son loves Buc-ee's, but anyway.
yeah, it's just it's a theme park. But
Yeah.
it was so
Hold on, did you
bad.
have flatulence come straight away? Was this later? And
It
'cause I'm gonna
it was
say
as I took the first bite. And the thing is like the flatulence was so rotten.
But how could it become rotten straight after from your mouth to the flatulence
It's like
straight away?
It's like my body was sounding.
Well, asparagus does that. It's the pee is immediate.
Oh yeah, that's
yeah,
true.
I think my microbiome was sounding an instant alarm.
Okay.
It was like, send all smell to the exit. Let him know quick. No more bites. I mean, I stopped eating halfway. It was
Really?
it was gross. Maybe it was just the one I got, but I can tell that. I can tell you that in my opinion, I don't pass the beef sandwich at Buc-ee's as a safe thing to eat.
And that concludes the podcast.